fans of the Stamp With Us podcast. I am Rina Krupski, and this is
Simon Hurley.
And we are here today with the one and only Jennifer McGuire, our favorite crafting queen. And we have a very fun podcast today. We're going to be asking Jennifer a bunch of questions, and we're going to be stamping with a set that she had a hand in creating and bringing to life. Would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, and thank you for having me. I feel like the little old lady sitting between the two beautiful youngins here. But so this is the stamp set that Gina K designed to support the hurricane relief. So when the hurricanes hit the Abacos Islands, the Bahamas, Gina and I spent a lot of time texting, and we were both really heartbroken, and so we kind of brainstormed together. Now Gina did all the hard work. I just kind of gave a little bit of idea here and there, and this is what she created. And so far, with the sales of this stamp set, she has raised over $20,000.
Oh, wow.
That is amazing.
That's incredible.
And it's gone to the Global Empowerment Mission, which is a wonderful organization that has been there since the beginning, working really hard. And then I helped raise some money on my blog too, so I think we're over $25,000 now.
Oh my God.
That's really amazing.
Crazy. That's so good.
What I think is really special is the messages of love and kindness in it. And you can mix and match to make different sentiments that go to, make something very special to give someone, and it helps a good cause.
And it's so awesome too that you're getting a stamp set when you kind of donate to the cause, and then you kind of have this as that that reminder that you kind of helped the people on the island, which is really awesome.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love most about this card making community is that we're always looking for ways to help when needed, and this was probably my favorite thing that we've done. Gina did a beautiful design, and I felt like the butterfly was a perfect sign of hope. So I
definitely, and I love that you guys can just text and come up with these awesome ideas and bring them to life.
I was sitting at Lila's tennis lesson, texting with your mom, and she made this magic happen. I worked really hard.
That's awesome.
I have made a few cards with this set, and I love it. So today we're actually going to be using the Wreath Builder template to create a group wreath card. So I think I'm going to make the first move, if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're watching the podcast, you can see us create it. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can download it and listen, and then you'll be hearing Jennifer's story as we ask her questions. But if you're watching, you can see our project as we create as well.
And if you fall asleep listening to my answers, you can just catch it later, because that'll happen. So you're going first, right?
Yes, I'm going first.
Then Simon's going to go, and then I'm going to end and possibly ruin it.
We'll see.
We think you'll make it a lot better.
Hold my stamp set for a sec. Let me take this. I think I'm going to start with this little flower.
Is that a hibiscus?
Hibiscus? I think so. It has these little, I called them horns. And people,
horns, yeah.
I don't think they're horns,
you could put
but
two coming off of your flower.
This color first.
So we have 3 different ink lines we're using today.
Yes, we're using all of Gina K's inks, my ELECTRO Pop inks, and Simon Hurley's.
And we're also throwing in some of the Simon Hurley Create inks, which is awesome too.
Of course. So to start off, I'm using Innocent Pink. That is a Gina K Designs dye ink color. And Jennifer, our first question is, how did you get started in stamping?
Okay, so in my previous life, when I was your age, a little bit older than you, I was an engineer at Procter & Gamble, and I quickly discovered it wasn't right for me. And but I had a wonderful job. So some of my colleagues said, you should really find a hobby. And I didn't have one. I kind of needed to find a life. So I started volunteering at my church youth group, and we went to California on a mission trip, and I came home and I made a scrapbook, and my life was changed. I started doing scrapbooking hardcore. I ended up quitting my job to do it full time, and then I got this wonderful phone call. I can remember where I was sitting. This man named Aaron Leventhal from Hero Arts called me and said, "Hey, would you like to try stamping and card making with your scrapbooking?" And I did, and that just changed me. Yeah. So I met Sherry Carroll, who is one of my all-time favorite crafters, and she taught me how to do card making while we worked together at Hero Arts, and I've been stamping ever since.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. And so I'm going to fast backward a little bit. Back to, you said that you left your job to do this full time. Was that kind of a scary transition? How did you know that it was going to be the right thing to do.
Well, back then I was still just doing scrapbooking, and there was a line of books with autumn leaves. I don't know if anybody remembers. You guys wouldn't, because you were reading baby books back then. There was a line of books with autumn leaves, and the owner contacted me and said, would you like to do a book, like a creative idea book?
That's awesome.
And I did a book called Designing with Words. It was ways of incorporating words on your scrapbooking pages, and that was kind of like a little bit of something I could jump into.
It was like a little, maybe I can make this into a business, kind of some opportunities there. That's cool.
It was, and it all lined up. Like I had just gotten married, so, insurance wasn't a worry, and it was a total God thing that all lined up perfectly, so.
That's really awesome that you were able to transition to something that you didn't really love and then turn it into card making, because I feel like you still use a lot of your engineering things in your card making now, and it really shows with you come up with a lot of new techniques, and you really kind of use the products outside of what they're really intended for to create some really cool new stuff.
I think that's my way of justifying all those years of school, or thanking my dad for supporting me through engineering school and then never using it, but
just using the skills.
Yeah. But I mean, it was worth it. I got to meet my husband. I got to live in Italy for a bit, and I got to start this hobby. Otherwise, I never would have. So
yeah, you got what you needed from it. Just like in swimming, I learned that I loved spicy sweet chili Doritos, and now
that's important.
I can look back and know that it was worth it.
Yeah, I knew I liked all the delicious calamari and octopus and stuff when I lived in Italy.
Oh yeah, well,
it all goes back to food for us.
It always does.
Okay, so she did Innocent Pink, right?
I did 4 flowers on all the square orientations. And Simon, do you want to take over from here?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay.
Should I do a shadow on top? Ooh. Or should I not try that? Because it might
that sounds really cool.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might double stamp it, but we're gonna try.
Simon, this is your world now.
Okay.
So if you've never used a wreath builder, the neat thing about it is it's got 8 spots. You can stamp at 8 positions to create a beautiful wreath or circular element.
Are you gonna move that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you're just doing a little bit. Okay.
Okay,
never mind. Sorry, I just interrupted.
Okay. So the neat thing about the wreath builder, if you've never seen it, is there's 8 positions. So you can stamp in 8 different spots to create a wreath or a circular element. And she changed it up, and she did 4 spots. So she skipped a turn so that there would be some room in the center for whatever we were going to do to mess it up.
Yeah, I think the emphasis on wreath building is often trying to make it into a circle, but what a lot of people forget is that you can use it to create perfect square patterns too, like borders or just like little frames for pictures. Perfect. So there's a lot you can do with it just by stamping the square orientations. So play around with it.
And you can create a background pattern perfectly with it.
And the fun part too is you can line it up in the exact same spot too. So if you want to go back and do a little bit of shading, this is usually what I do with some of my images. If they're not layering, if they're just solid, I go back and I add a little bit of shading with some of the darker inks. So here I'm using some Bee Sting ink. And this just shows too that all of our inks work really nicely together. So if you want to choose the colors that you love from each line, they work really nicely hand in hand.
So you're just adding some darker color on the edges.
Once again, covered up by Simon's shadow. It's fine. It's fine.
That's why when you asked me to do this, I was like, I don't want to sit next to Rina. It's like sitting next to a supermodel.
Oh, Jennifer. We are in your world right now. So another question that we have is more about YouTube. So what made you decide to launch your YouTube channel and go into that?
Well, it was sort of by accident. I was working for Hero Arts, and Hero Arts was one of the first companies to have a blog, with crafty ideas. They were one of the first ones. Some in the scrapbooking industry had, but not many in the card making. So this was oh, man, I don't know, many, many years ago. We'll have to look it up. But Hero Arts decided to do videos. And I remember my first video. I was the first one on their channel. And I didn't want to talk. Imagine that. And so we actually played my brother-in-law's music.
Oh, nice.
And I did, just the little captions underneath. And that's how my first few videos were. And so they started on the Hero Arts channel. And then eventually I started my own.
That's really cool.
But I don't have nearly as many as Christina. She's got a lot more videos than I do. But I think since 2010.
Oh, wow.
That's a really
cool.
One
of the OG YouTubers. It's crazy when you just sit down in front of a camera and then it's talk.
Yeah.
Just say things. I always think during the day that I have so much to talk about and I have so many thoughts that I want to just spill out, and then I try to talk and I'm like,
That's why most people only see my hands, because I can't, I just focus on what I'm creating, because I just, the camera's not something I'm comfortable with. But with the card making videos, I'm teaching.
Yeah.
I used to travel teaching and I love doing it, but with my kids, I just can't do that anymore. So YouTube's a great outlet for that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's cool that you said that you started off with just music and now you're doing really awesome videos with voiceovers. I think it's cool to see how you kind of evolve as you go along and you get more comfortable with different things like that. I love your videos because you include like a bunch of cards and a bunch of different techniques in each one. So you're really like, you might sit down for a 20-minute, 30-minute video, which you call episodes now. But you make so many cards and you learn like a lot from each one, which I think is really cool.
Well, I know that this industry is tough because there's so many products coming out all the time. And it's overwhelming. So many great things that you want to use, that I try to do videos that focus on the technique. So you can use what you have or try something new. So I feel like the reason I started doing multiple cards is so that I could really push that this can be done with different products.
Yeah, definitely.
So I try to mostly do, you know, techniques that can be done with different things. But it's gotten to a slippery slope where I make too many cards for videos sometimes.
You are she can produce cards like crazy. I make one card after a video and then I'm just like,
exhausted.
I just like fall off the chair and I'm just like, I can't be creative for the next month and a half.
But if you look closely,
crazy.
like I have a different shirt on in the video like 4 or 5 times, that's because it takes me several days to do it.
No, it's a long process.
I'm slow.
Me too. I haven't done a video in a while. This is the first time I'm here in a little bit.
So I do my voiceovers on my closet floor because it's only quiet place in the house. In my old house, I used to go out in the garage in my minivan in the front seat with my laptop and do my voiceover in the dark.
Oh my god.
That's awesome.
Where do you do your voiceovers?
That's where you get like the quiet place, right?
It's true.
I do mine. I don't really like, care too much about the quiet. So I do mine just right in my little like office room area. It's right in my craft room, but it's a separate little desk, and I've got like sleeping bags up along the walls so that it's all nice and quiet, which is really really good. So I just sit in there and do my voiceovers, or I do it live if I'm really feeling up for it. But
I have never ever tried that. Never
live.
That's smart. Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah, it's doing it live is like you have to kind of know what you're saying beforehand or like kind of prepare for it. I think for me, teaching on video has like helped, so I've been doing it for quite a while with different other classes that I've done. But that's helped, and then also just lots of cuts.
Yeah.
Lots of cuts in
between.
between.
Lots of editing.
Yeah.
I looked at my last video and it was 75 different voiceover clips put together.
Oh my gosh.
Oh really? Wow.
Because I clearly am not great with words. That's why I went into engineering. So I'm not great with words, so I need to like kind of piece things together. All right, so I'm going to figure out how to mess this up now.
So I'm interested, when you get products at hand, do you come up with a technique with the product, or do you have the technique first and then you apply it to the products?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes like I try to help out companies or work with companies by using their new releases. But I won't use it unless A, I love it, and B, I can think of a technique.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. So a lot of times I'll start with the product, but I also have a list of techniques I want to show, and I'm just waiting for the right product to come up. So, you know, like I'll think of something maybe with a solid image like this flower. So I'm just waiting to find that perfect set, and then I go from there.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. That's good that you have a list of stuff, and then once the new product's released, you can be like, okay, I'm going to use that for that
totally.
one. That's awesome.
And here's a little tip: if you've never, this is a brand new set. If you've never used a stamp before, just take your thumb and just rub across it. And you'll see the color, it's hard to tell in the video here, but you'll see the color change from crystal clear to like a cloudy clear, and then your ink will go on it better.
Oh, nice.
Oh boy. I'm gonna use 2.
You have lots
We
of
also
colors
learned
to choose
another
from.
tip from Jennifer McGuire that Simon and I didn't know, that we were living in this world of just uncertainty, but we've been using the MISTI backwards this entire time.
These youngins didn't know how to use the MISTI. So
And when they asked, how did you not know? Because the numbers are going the wrong way, we just said,
so they used it this way, and the numbers are upside down, but that's okay, because they actually sell stickers, so you can actually put it over this, and you can then be right.
well, perfect.
That's good.
Love a reason to be right.
But really, I don't think there's it doesn't have to be that way, but this is the way I've always done it. I don't know. I think Gina does it the way you guys do, right?
Nice. We have one person on our
any
side.
Any skills I've learned have definitely been
she's
influenced
better
by
than
her.
me. So I'm going to take a combination of their ideas. So she stamped in solid, and then he stamped with some bold color on the edges. And what I'm going to do is stamp with a lighter green first, and then use a sponge dauber to add darker green on the edges. So
that's awesome.
Like a little
I'm
bit
so
of
excited. I'm watching Jennifer craft in the flesh.
No pressure. So I'm using the Jelly Bean green ink from Gina. And then Later Gator, you have the best color names.
Thank you. They take a while, and they're like, but they're so much fun. I want people to like smile and be excited to use the stuff when they get it.
He just showed us his new colors coming out next year, and the names were fantastic. I'm not saying a single thing. I'm not going to show
If you need me to take her out, Simon, I will.
She's going to pull out the picture.
Edit it out. I don't care. Okay, so what I'm doing is I've got a sponge dauber here, and I'm just going to take a heavy amount of ink. This is the Later Gator, and just add it to like the bottom edge of the leaves. And you want to put as much as you can down, but not too much because you want it to kind of blend out. And then when you stamp it right on top, you'll get darker in those areas. See how the bottom of the leaf is darker?
You should have done that on mine.
Yeah,
should have improved my stamps that way.
No.
Because I like it because it blends it in a little bit more.
Yeah. And then you can sometimes get real creative with some color combinations. So like if you had, let's see, do you have a bright, give me a neon yellow.
Oh yeah, get the neon
orange, any kind of bright. Yeah, you can also add like some
a little highlight.
Bright color. This might be a little too light. But you could come in with a different color, like a yellow or whatever, and add like a yellow highlight. That's a little too light. But add like a two-tone color that way.
This is genius.
No, it's not. This is old school. This is what us old school stampers used to do. So anyways, I'm lazy.
Same.
Yep.
Me too.
Yep. And so I like to do 2 images at once just to save some time. Got a little fingerprint. I'm a fingerprint.
Well, we
No,
have.
it's okay. We can cover it up too. We'll
have
make
more
Simon
products
cover it
to
up.
fix that.
We can make Simon cover it up.
So while we're making this super beautiful tropical set, I think a lot of people want to know, what are your favorite type of cards and projects to make?
Definitely my favorite type of card to make is an encouragement card. Because we all have our struggles. We have all this stuff that we're going through. And the nice thing about a card is you get it in the mail and it's completely unexpected. Usually there's only bills surrounding it. And so I love the idea of just popping into somebody's life that could be miles away and making them smile. So for me, it's encouragement. And you know what I'm worst at sending?
What?
I
Birthday.
think, like along the lines of what you were saying, the encouragement cards are so important. And I was talking with you a little bit, I think it was yesterday, where you said, you know, those encouragement cards are important, but not making them too sad is also important too. So like brightening them up and putting cheerful colors or like some fun images to make that person smile, rather than, you know, I'm so sorry or sympathy. It can just be something simple and happy.
Yeah, and I think...
Sorry, can I show you a card?
This is a challenge card.
No,
it's a good card.
Especially moms. I mean, you guys are young, but your moms out there could agree that there are hard days. And
Definitely.
I think to just, like I sent my friend Heather, she is such a strong mom and has been really very helpful in her son's life and some challenges he's faced, and to send her a card to say, good job.
That's awesome.
You're doing good. And I think those kind of cards are the ones that the world needs most. The unexpected pats on the back.
Yeah, and it could be so, like you could write something so simple on the inside, but just that gesture of sending the card and that little surprise is really awesome.
That's another thing I'm not good at. My notes on the inside are always like super short.
But I think it's important, just as like, you know, it's good to text people, but I think that handmade card, even though if it's just something simple on the inside, is really just, it shares that love and shows that you were thinking of them, which is cool.
Well, I lost the card I was going to show you guys, but my mom and I, we did a card making challenge once, and we were going to make a sympathy card. I just said sorry ... on mine with nothing else. It's the perfect sorry card for any situation. Just sorry.
It's true. And so one of my new friends, he's one of my new crafters, we'll link to it below if that's okay.
Totally.
Or he's not a new crafter, he's a new friend of mine. He is starting a new card drive where he's collecting cards to give to an organization, a nonprofit, that helps out folks who have dogs who are ill.
Oh, that's awesome.
So she puts little packages together and then like a happy encouragement card, you know, to help them through this hard time. And in that case, you don't want to send like a card that says I'm sorry or whatever. You want something happy and cheerful. And so I think a lot of times we get caught up in that making something perfect for the situation, where sometimes it just needs to be, hey, something happy.
Definitely. And then also, we forgot to talk about this with Christina, but you are business partners with Christina, and you have an online website called Online Card Classes. Do you want to talk a little bit more about how that got started and, you know, some of the lessons people can find on there? I'll link that down below as well.
So Christina and I have online card classes, which we started many years ago. I was traveling a lot teaching. I love to teach. But I was leaving my young son a lot to travel teaching in stores. And also my anxiety was getting worse, and it was getting harder to go. So I was thinking I'd love to do something more than just videos to teach.
Yeah.
And so there was this girl named Christina Werner that I knew a little bit. We didn't know each other very well, but just a bit. And here, you want to stamp your horns?
I'll take the horns from here.
So I emailed her out of the blue. I was watching Princess Kate and Prince William's wedding. And I thought, I'm just going to email her. And I emailed her and said, hey, would you want to do online classes together? And this would be a great way also to get other crafters, like with some exposure, and get them to start doing videos and things like that. And she said, sure.
That's awesome.
Next thing you know, it became bigger than we thought. In fact, we thought it'd be like a maybe 1 or 2 time thing. And so our website was terrible because we didn't plan for it to be more. And so years later, we had to do a lot of work to fix it. We haven't done as many lately because we're just busy. I blame my kids. That's my every time I don't have time for something, that's the reason. But we do have some fun plans in 2020.
That's awesome.
And it might or might not have something to do with Gina too. So.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
That's really cool. And there's such a variety of classes on there, and different artists that guest as well, that they bring people on to teach what they're really good at as well. So I'll leave links down below. You guys can check that out, so you can get, if you know, there's different certain things you can learn on there, and lots of techniques which her and Christina are really great at.
Yeah, and like I said, what you mentioned, we have a lot of different artists in it. I mean, there are so many fantastic card makers out there. Some don't do videos, and some, you know, haven't done many. And it's a great way to find new card makers and artists to follow along with. And everybody teaches in a different way. And so to have different styles of teaching to learn from is, I think, totally worth it.
Yeah,
and that's my favorite part about OCC, online card classes, is the different artists that come together.
That's really awesome. So you can learn from different people, and if you learn a certain way, then you can get that teaching from that, you know, person, and maybe find new videos online that you like too from those YouTubers, which is great.
Yep. So hopefully in 2020 we'll have, and we're going to try to do some beginner things too, because you know, we have this wonderful hobby of ours and this great industry, and I feel like we can draw some more people in and make it even better.
Definitely.
I love it.
Well, this looks so fun already.
Yeah,
I'll give you a little zoom here to show you what we're working with.
Dude, we should work together more often.
I agree. Please.
I like the colors you guys chose. Those went together very well.
Yes. So.
And that's one of those cards you could send for many different occasions.
So many different things.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love those sentiments where you can like stamp that out, make a bunch of cards even with that, or like with different simple sentiments from the set, and then you can use them for anything and just specify on the inside or talk to them on the inside about what it's really about.
One of the other things is, say you stamp this beautiful wreath, which we all need to get together more often, and you don't have a particular occasion.
Oh, yeah.
Because half of card making is the joy of making it, and the other half is the joy of giving it. So you could create beautiful wreaths like this, especially with the wreath builder. You got it set up with your stamping tool. You can make a bunch at once and leave the sentiment off. And then next time there's an occasion that pops up, you can put whatever sentiment you want in.
That's
Those
awesome.
birthday cards, it would work for sympathy, encouragement, anything you want.
So I've witnessed my mom be in the car on the way to an event.
Oh my gosh.
Stop the car halfway out of the driveway, come back in, grab a blank card, stamp a greeting on, and then go to the event.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. It's a good tip though.
So this is a perfect design for that. And I feel like the Wreath Builder, another thing that I like about the Wreath Builder and why I wanted to use it today is this stamp set has a lot of big images. But have you ever noticed a lot of stamp sets have these little ones? Let's put it up here. Sorry, I'm not good at this.
Let me zoom out a little bit.
But there's little images like these that a lot of our stamp sets have those extra bits, and they never get used.
Definitely.
But with the wreath builder, you can stamp them repeatedly and form something beautiful with it. Like this would look neat, kind of coming out from the center, like like sun rays coming out with the little envelope.
Or even like if you want to do borders around like a square envelope or something.
There you go.
Sets or stamps like these, I always find them where they're long and kind of look like they are meant to be a border, and I have no idea what to do with them.
Yeah.
So
I think those little guys get left out a lot, and
Definitely.
the wreath builder kind of brings them in because you could add little hearts in here and stuff.
Yeah, you could fill this in with lots of different little stuff. I love when companies include those though, because then you could use them for things like this and create some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
How's the family? How's your family?
It's family business, man.
What I love is that she didn't love baseball until Colin got into it, right?
It's all everything's family, you know.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
you
right.
probably weren't big into swimming or
Oh,
whatever.
God, no.
we still aren't.
Right.
She never was.
And then, you know, as soon as she quit, I was not into it anymore. I mean, that,
Yeah.
it's all about family.
It's for sure.
So Jennifer, if you weren't crafting, what would you be doing professionally?
Napping.
Okay, that's a good one. I could do that as well.
No, that you know, it's a good question because I loved math, so I went into engineering, and no. I would like to say that I would love to be a math teacher, but I think teachers are superheroes, and I don't think I could do it. My second oldest daughter is about to be a teacher. She's about to graduate, and I have just mad admiration for teachers.
Yeah.
So I wish I had what it takes to do that. But, you know, my bucket list job would be to do like the Bucket List Family. Have you ever seen the Bucket List Family on Instagram? It's a family who's sold everything and they just travel.
Oh, that's
And it's
awesome.
not like only just fancy travel. They do good deeds on their travel. They just go to remote places. That would be
That's amazing.
But I stamp.
Nice.
I glue
Not a
things
bad thing
together.
to
Yeah.
do.
So, anyways, yeah, that's probably what I would be doing. Somehow try to figure out something with that.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you also like to go on cruises a lot. Would you be a professional cruiser, do you think?
You know, the reason we do cruises, I'm like to go where there's nobody. Like we like to be on a beach where it's just us. But the reason we do cruising is I have kids that span from 7 to 24. So it's something that we can all do together.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, there's not many things. There's something for everyone. So that's why cruising works for us. But we love to go to an island like the ones that this was created for. Yeah. We like to go to those islands where there's just the local people who are lovely and inspiring and welcoming and learn about where they are. And then you can go to a beach and there's nobody.
Yeah,
Bliss
that's
and
really
silence.
awesome.
Yes.
And that's where your love from the islands kind of came in. That's
yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when Irma hit, that was the Virgin Islands, which is where we like to go. And then when that hit, we started going to Abacos. And then that's where, is it Dorian? Is that what that?
Yeah.
That's where they hit. So I think I need to stop going anywhere because it seems to follow me. But I love that crafters came together and
Oh yeah,
something
this
so
was a
special to
great.
help.
This was crazy.
so I added little yellow hearts with Over the Moon.
Ooh,
This is, here we go, Over the Moon ink. So you got little hearts there.
that's beautiful.
I also
It's so
wanted
pretty.
to talk to you a little bit about, too, because you seem to be one of the leaders, along with Erin, to be one of those people who kind of really encourage and help the collaboration in our industry. Kind of started that whole stamp village at Creativation where you kind of helped all those companies to get together and you have those stamp sets together, which I think is really awesome that you guys are all collaborating rather than, you know, being each other's competition. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of how that started? And
Sure. So I've been working with Hero Arts. Like I used to work for them for many years, and probably 5 to 10 years I was working with them, and now I just have a working friendship, you know. So, but I was kind of raised by Aaron, who owns Hero.
That's
My
awesome.
stamping was, he kind of raised me. And he has always been about collaboration. I think I remember one of the first things he said to me is, I don't want to be the only ship out there. You know, that's not how we want it to be. So I got that collaborative spirit from him. But it was when I started meeting other stamp companies that, you know, I met Heidi from Simon Says Stamp, met Christina, who was designing stamps, and you keep meeting these wonderful people, and they're all supportive of each other.
Yeah.
You know, like when Lawn Fawn was starting, she called Erin, and Erin gave her a lot of advice. Then I met Gina, and it was like game over. Like it's
that's how I felt.
Yeah, she's got this unbelievable kindness and collaborative nature and generosity. So we were all just at dinner, just friends at dinner at one of the Creativations, and we talked about how we need to work together to grow this industry and build on what we all have to offer. And it keeps growing. It's fantastic. I love it.
I think that's the really cool part about it, because you all have realized that, you know, you're all friends, and that helping each other out really only helps the whole industry grow, rather than if you're all your own ship, then you're kind of just killing the industry, because you know, not everybody gets supported then.
And with one person having success, it helps everybody. And it really is that way. I think some people probably look at it and wonder, is it really, like Christina and I, like, we really do a lot of the same job, but we work together. Like if I'm stuck, usually she's helping me because she's smarter than I am. So like, you know, if I'm having trouble with the video, I can call her and ask her for help, and she'll help me.
Yeah,
and it
that's
truly
awesome.
is that way. And these are true friendships that would exist if we weren't in the same industry. But it makes it better that we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge change from where I was before, because I used to be in swimming, which is just the most individual activity you can do. And I never really had a good sense of like trusting people and just like people really wanting the best for other people. And when I got here in the stamping industry, I was kind of like, all right, like, when is it going to change, you know? But it never has, and everyone's always been genuine and honest and really pushing to like help each other in this industry, which I really, really enjoy about it.
And I think a lot of reasons crafters become friends is it is a hobby that normally is very individual. You're in your living room, on your kitchen table or whatever, stamping, and it's can be lonely. But when you get on the community online, go on Instagram, what Kathy Rakusin has done with the coloring challenge, she's created this amazing coloring community. And they all support each other, and they're friends, and they travel to different things together, and they met through this. So even though it might start individual, once you get into a lot, it's amazing how it becomes such a supportive community.
We've seen some people at like events that show up and they're like holding hands, and we're like, oh, are you guys longtime friends? And they're like, no, we just met at this event. We've been talking for 10 years though,
Which is
like
so awesome.
on Split Coast or whatever, like all this stuff, and it's just crazy.
And so many times people, like I'll meet somebody on the plane, like sitting next to you. Where are you going? Oh, I'm going to meet my friends. What do you do? We craft. Where'd you meet them? Online.
It's like, are they real? Are you being catfished, ma'am?
Are they normal? Yeah. But it's true. So many people, I mean, I remember the first time I sat down with Gina. I mean, we had talked online and we met briefly at one show, but we were sitting at a restaurant. She came to Cincinnati and we're sitting in a restaurant, and it was like long lost sisters. But we had that connection to start with, you know?
Did she mention me?
Okay, yes.
Anything bad?
No, but my daughter is not happy because she's home and I'm with Rina.
Sorry, Audrey. Or Lila.
Well, actually, probably both of them. But Lila's like, I want to film a video with Rina. But she would sit here and be like, yeah, she's been asking to do videos.
She should get into them. They're so fun.
Well, I know how long they take to edit.
Yes, you know the life. You know the struggle. But if she ever wants to do one, we're here. We got a seat.
She'd fit in here better than that.
Dumb
Can I
stuff.
say one thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to say, one of the most exciting things lately is the dudes that are getting into crafting.
Definitely.
It seems like lately there's more that are sharing their work and what they create. And there are a handful of amazing guy crafters out there.
Definitely.
And I think it would be great if we could link to some of those.
For sure.
Because Simon's kind of led the way, I think, for bringing more new, fresh guy crafters.
Yeah,
and
totally.
they do hashtag Dudes Craft,
Dudes Craft
too, right?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool with me and my line. I think the only reason that I really started the line is because there was some things that I knew were missing, where it was like there was a lot of clean and simple stamps that I loved, but you know, sometimes you don't always want to work with butterflies or flowers. You know, there's a time and place that I love that, but I wanted some little dudes you can put on your nephew's card or things like that, rather than just like a wrench or something really grungy. So that kind of really helped me kind of get more into crafting, and hopefully helping, you know, dudes, whether they're younger or older, kind of get into crafting and express that. And like you said, a lot more are sharing online now, which is really awesome.
And I think that's the key. I think there have been a lot of great guy crafters out there. You know, Tim has been sharing for many years, and he's got amazing stamp lines that are perfect for guys to be kind of drawn to. And now we're getting people to share more, and they're doing different styles. You know, there's like
awesome.
Andy's great at that bold color rainbow. You know, you got all different kinds of styles, and I love seeing that explode. I think that's awesome.
Definitely. And they've, like you said, all so individual styles. Like we send Jeff some stuff from my line, and he uses it in a completely different way than I ever would, which is so cool to see. You know, he might not love the critters, but he uses it in like a bold and more graphic way than I ever would. So it's cool, like you said, to see everybody's different, unique style and what they bring to the table.
So we should link some of those.
Yes,
for sure.
They will
we'll link some of our favorites down below.
And I am thankful for you guys for the energy you're bringing to this industry.
Oh,
well, thank you. We love the energy that you bring too, because you actually got me started in this industry, which is awesome. Your videos really inspired me, which is cool.
I'm just obsessed for all reasons.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for another Stamp With Us podcast. We are so excited to have you, Jennifer. So thank you for telling your story and answering lots of questions.
And helping us with this beautiful card that I will probably use.
We're framing that
on a project. Oh yes, for sure.
So I'll have links down below to everything. I'll also have Jennifer's social media links down there and online card classes, as well as anything else we talked about, like the dudes and the stamp set that they've created to support the islands.
All right, well, thanks again to everyone out there watching or listening. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.